when trafficking goes bust, the slip-ups that foiled major drug deals. Hi there, my name's Caryn Dolley. I'm a journalist at Daily Maverick, and I focus mainly on the nexus between organized crime and the state. Drug trafficking is a dangerous global trade. We know it can prove fatal. There have been assassinations. So we assume that drug traffickers and those who work with them and for them, foot soldiers, etc., are exceptionally careful when planning their illegal activities. But we also know that's not always the case. So you know that unsettling feeling when you plan to message someone close to you, like a family member, but instead you send your message to a work group? Well, this is basically what happened, but more like 1,000 times worse. In June 2021, the United States announced that its Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, was involved in a global takedown. Literally hundreds of arrests were carried out around the world because the FBI, it turns out, was running or had been running its own encrypted device platform called Anom. So basically, after this takedown started rolling out, the US held a press conference about the great global hack, Anom. Here's a press conference from there.
For the first time, the FBI developed and operated its own hardened encrypted device company called Anom, A-N-O-M. As we allege in our indictment, criminal organizations and the individual defendants that we have charged purchased and distributed Anom devices in an effort to secretly plan and execute their crimes. In fact, Anom's distributors, administrators, and agents had so much confidence in the secrecy of their devices that they openly marketed them to other potential users as designed by criminals for criminals. But the devices were actually operated by the FBI. In total, the criminals sold more than 12,000 Anom encrypted devices and services to more than 300 criminal syndicates operating in over 100 different countries.
The US paired up with Australia in this massive takedown, and what it meant was that crooks, criminals all around the world, thought they were only communicating with each other. So they basically thought they were communicating in a very insular way on these devices that were really peddled only among crooks. And you have to see some of the messages like, the cocaine is going to land. But in reality, it was actually the FBI that was in control of these devices. So can you imagine the invaluable information that police officers, law enforcement officers around the world managed to glean from crooks because of Anom?
The criminal users didn't know that for more than 18 months, the FBI captured more than 27 million messages between users around the world who had their criminal discussions reviewed, recorded, and translated by the FBI.
Some of the Anom arrests were made in South Africa. Daily Maverick previously reported on a case that started shaping up in June 2021. Police officers intercepted a ski boat in Pretoria, and in the hull of the ski boat, they found cocaine. Arrests were made, and these arrests are apparently linked to the global Anom crackdown. So this cautionary drug trafficking tale involves sea. In July 2019, two men, one from France and one from the UK, were on a yacht called the Zero. I know! So the Zero sailed from Madagascar to Richards Bay, which is along South Africa's east coast. While off South Africa's east coast, there appears to have been some marine rendezvous. Another boat arrived, and from it, cocaine and methamphetamine drugs were moved onto the Zero. From Richards Bay, the Zero sailed towards a group of islands off Australia's coast, and it was in this vicinity that it ran aground. Apparently it ran aground because the skipper fell asleep in what we could view as a case of narcolepsy. The duo aboard the Zero luckily managed to get onto Burton Island, and while they were there, sailors or individuals on another vessel spotted them and police were alerted. So according to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, these two, the duo, tried to evade police, but something got in their way, and if this tale is to be believed, it was a seal, a bellowing seal apparently got in their way. And these two men had the choice of either taking on the seal or trying to outrun police. they decided instead of taking on the seal, they'd rather get arrested. And that's what happened. They were arrested. And that is how a drug stash that was moved from off South Africa's coast onto a yacht, the Zero, was discovered in Australia. The Australian police clearly owe the seal a word of thanks. In June 2021, New Zealand authorities intercepted a parcel that arrived there. So here's the thing, the parcel was addressed to one Quade Cooper, and Quade Cooper is originally from New Zealand, but he's a rugby player who went on to play for Australia's national team, the Wallabies. So we can assume that his name, Quade Cooper, on the parcel piqued the interests of customs officials. So Cooper was in no way involved in the saga, but customs officials did indeed flag the parcel. It was x-rayed or searched, and methamphetamine was found in it. And New Zealand authorities found that this methamphetamine was from South Africa. By August 2024, 13 accused in the case had been convicted in connection with it. During related court proceedings, it was found that one of the accused was making use of driver's licenses. The driver's licenses, though, had the name Quade Cooper on it, yet it had the accused's photograph. A judge remarking on an August 2024 sentencing in this case said, "This was a foolhardy and stupid choice, in my view." He was referring to the use of Quade Cooper's name. So the foolhardy and stupid choice aside, this case really showed just how enmeshed South Africa is in a major drug trafficking case or drug trafficking empire that was based in New Zealand. The empire involved notorious organized crime groups, including the likes of the Mongrel Mob and the Headhunters. Those are motorcycle gangs. This is a bold plan gone grandly wrong. So in June 2019, Australian Border Force officers intercepted a 20-ton excavator that arrived there from South Africa. The excavator was x-rayed, and inside of it, a cocaine stash worth 1.4 billion rand, around there, was found. It was basically hidden in the arm of the excavator. 2 men were arrested, convicted, and sentenced over this in Australia. One of them was Adam Hunter. So anyway, ahead of all that, those implicated in this excavator mess didn't actually know cops were onto them. So they proceeded with their plan. Details about this case are contained in my book Clash of the Cartels, as well as court papers. The excavator was delivered to a business premises linked to Adam Hunter. So initially the plan was for the syndicate to have members or associates go there and crank open the excavator to get hold of the cocaine. But Hunter thought he could organize that the cocaine is accessed. So he got hold of a welder and asked the welder to basically open or break into the excavator, but the welder wisely turned down this job. Another person was told that there was cocaine hidden in the excavator and was asked to open it up, but that person also turned down the job. And eventually Hunter decided to take matters quite literally into his own hands. In July 2019, he and a sidekick decided to get into that excavator. They were like, okay, this is it. Let's crank it open. Let's get that cocaine. So they went ahead, started doing this, and boom, police arrived. Their plan was foiled. So Adam Hunter and co, and everyone involved in this sort of supply chain of the cocaine that was from South Africa, or it embarked from South Africa to Australia, all of them went through all that only to crank into or try and get into a machine that wasn't even containing cocaine anymore. Police had swapped it out with an inert substance. All that work, and all it resulted in, is jail time. So what do these cases really tell us? Although they sound funny and like jokes or flippant little slip-ups, people are spending time in jail. People's lives are derailed. People we aren't even mentioning here because we aren't even considering families, the impact, and also the impact of drugs. This is immense. Really, people's lives are being ruined. People are spending years, if not decades in some cases, in jail, and they could have avoided all this in the first place had they not broken the law. Drug trafficking globally is marked with assassinations, and I think it's important to remember that while we're focusing on the traffickers, we should keep in mind the destruction that they unleash beyond themselves. This is the fatal, serious undercurrent underpinning these cases.